Hello plant parents. Today I've come here not to just talk about plants, but few topics which at large concern us, and I think everybody of us who is watching this is somehow related to it, and the topic is about pollution. Pollution is one of the most deadliest disease and the invisible killer in the world. It has killed more people than what a road accident has killed it. But somehow, since it's invisible and nobody talks about it, nobody knows what happens. Is the pollution right now there? या pollution नहीं है, and that's why there has been a lot of misinformation which is there on the internet on some of the topic which relates to plants and pollution. And I'm sure if you are in a daily circle and have conversations with your friends, NASA air purifying plants must have come as part of your discussion. Yes, this is a very common discussion in November, December, in winters in Delhi, and a lot of us talk about it because we see in the news that the pollution has crossed the AQI of 1000 or AQI of 1500, and then people start getting panicking and start taking air purifiers and air purifying plants all across. And today I am here to debunk or tell you the A to Z about air purifying plants and pollution, so that you guys, when you go out next time, can take more proper decision on what to buy and what not to buy. So let me first cover the concept of pollution. It's known as from the concept of PM 2.5 and PM 10. So these very little particles which you and me cannot see, it's 1/10 the part of a hair strand, and they sort of get into these particles are made out of actually dust or smoke, and they actually get it into our nasals, through our nasals, through the nose or through our mouth into our lungs. So basically God has made us capable as human bodies with our nasal hair and mouth to stop particles which are greater than PM 2.10, which is particulate matter 10. These are size of the strand of the hair, but if it gets smaller than that PM 9 or 8 and so on and so forth, so when it reaches 2.5, it has the capability to cross your nasal hair and then go straight into your body. And this is what is happening with pollution. The WHO recommends the limits of 50 as healthy, but in India, and a lot of us must have heard about, the limits have crossed to 1000 and to 1500 also AQI, which means that the particulate matters which were PM 2.5 and lesser, they were existing in the environment, and they're going straight into your lungs. So imagine a pregnant woman. The pollution can go, that PM can go inside your nasal and then into the womb, and whatever the fetus is feeding from the body, it's also feeding that pollution. And there's been recent studies that the pregnant woman living in Delhi, the kids which are born has a very high rate of asthma or mental disorders, and this has been case and researchers going on all across the world. It's a serious topic and has a lot of discussion to be done, but when this discussion comes in, there's one discussion which is prevalent to us, which comes out is the NASA air purifying plants, right? And a lot of people are talking about it. A lot of people talk in the kitty parties or the friend circles, saying यार एक air purifying plant रख लेते हैं, ठीक हो जाएगा. And today I'll tell you what works and what doesn't work basically. So in Delhi or most parts of country where the pollution is above 500, you need to have a air purifier, which is a must. Obviously we can talk about that हम cumulative effort करके बाहर का pollution कम करेंगे, but till the time it's not getting less, you need to have a air purifier as well as an air purifying plant. So air purifying plant alone cannot do anything around pollution, and so is the air purifier. Yes. A lot of people have an air purifier and saying, "यार हाँ सब कुछ ठीक हो गया, I'm breathing fresh air and the PM is down." It's absolutely rubbish, and so is with the plants. So some people come to us and buy 7-8 air purifying plants and thinks कि अब pollution नहीं है उनके room में. Again, that is rubbish. It's a false statement. So with the air purifying plant, what the history is, let me go back in time and talk about why NASA did this. So NASA wanted to send their astronauts into the outer space and their space stations. They wanted to have something which, when emergency happens, is able to self-sustain. So they can absorb the carbon dioxide and they can absorb the other gases which are there. And while they were researching, they came across plants, and when they realized that there are some of these plants, they were absorbing these gases, they went ahead and did a very extensive study and found out that there were these 18 plants which were absorbing these gases as well as the CO2 from the air, as compared to anything or any other plant in the world. So they were absorbing higher rates of these gases and CO2 from the environment. And that's why from there on the NASA air purifying plants became a famous term. And I think every year this is getting bigger and bigger, with more online companies, media talking about air purifying plants. But can air purifying plants alone stop pollution? No. So plants have no capability to absorb the PM particulate matter from it. These are particles basically, this is solid. So they can't, plants don't have a capability to take in. It has to be through a normal purifying method where these particles goes through a certain filters and they get stopped. So the fresh air comes out which doesn't have these particles. But when that air comes out, it's almost not fresh all the times. There are a lot of these gases also which are there. So there's two parts to a pollution. One is the particulate matter and one is the gases. And when I say gases, it's about VOCs and CO2. So the PM has been absorbed by the filters and the air purifiers to make the air cleaner just with PM. But to absorb the gases, there is nothing in the world except the plants. And that's why the NASA scientists did the research saying, can we make our space stations devoid of any VOCs, because they can actually kill the human being faster than the PM. So particulate matter are so small particles, they will slowly and gradually go inside you and start sitting it. So you'll start seeing the impact in 5, 10, 15 years in the lungs. It's similar to you smoking cigarette, they also get you that PM particulates directly into your lungs. And that's why a lot of people talk about that smoking 20 cigarettes in Delhi. If you're in Delhi, you're smoking almost 20 cigarettes a day. So that's a PM particulate matter. And then there is these gases which are there. So these VOCs which are there, scientists tried and researched about these gases and realized these 18 plants were absorbing these gases. Now what are these gases? These are basically VOCs, volatile organic compounds. These are basically carbon compounds which have a capability, when they absorb, when a human body absorbs it, they can cause you short-term ailments. For example, nausea, vomiting, headache, and long-term exposures can even cause death. And same is the case with CO2. So the plants had the capability by its natural process to absorb the CO2 and bring out the oxygen out. But some of these 18 plants, these 18 plants out of these many plants had the capability to also do this absorption of VOCs. So in the whole photosynthesis, they were taking in the carbon dioxide, taking the food and minerals from the soil or the media, and from the air they were also taking in the VOCs to do their photosynthesis. Right? And this is how they were sort of absorbing these gases. Now, where are these gases? So in an indoor environment, when I'm sleeping and when I'm sitting around in my bedrooms or kitchens, does these gases exist? Yes. So inside, the PM particles are still less. Outdoor you will feel them there, but inside the VOCs are very high because they get trapped. Outside they go in open and you don't find so much of a symptoms. But inside, for example, in this polish of the table, there are a lot of these VOCs. In the pen markers which you use, there are a lot of these VOCs. There is xylene, there is benzene, there is formaldehyde, and you must have heard of these gases name. So for example, benzene, when you absorb it and it has it is there in the paints which are there. So xylene and benzene is available in all the paints which are there in the walls. So if you sort of absorb the new wall which is newly painted, 15 minutes, 10 minutes, and you start getting nausea. If you really want to check it out, just take out the marker, take out its ink, and start inhaling the smell, the VOCs there, and within, I think, a minute or so, you will start seeing impact. You will start feeling nausea about it. Now, if there are plants around, they have the capability to absorb it. But again, this has been unfortunately used in the wrong sense by a lot of the online companies, where they talk about saying, these are the air purifying plant which absorbs the complete, that purifies the air. So you need to have an air purifier and these plants also, right? So this is what is about the air purifying plants. Let me talk about the list of these air purifying plants. So NASA did a survey, extensive research of hundreds and thousands of plants, came out with these 18 plants which were absorbing these gases. And some of the common names you have heard of is Aglaonema, which is Chinese evergreen, Dracena, English ivy, spider plant, chrysanthemum, banana. So whenever you want to buy an air purifying plant, and whenever somebody talks about pollution, you should know that it's affecting you and your family, and you should have the air purifiers and the air purifying plants. And the air purifying plants are only absorbing the VOCs and the gases, especially carbon dioxide also, and not the particulate matter. So it can't absorb the solids inside them. It can only absorb the gases. And then be careful when you're buying them from any of the local nurseries or online stores, and always check that is it really impacting your type of room. So for example, if you have a 200 square feet room, you should have approximately 200 square feet surface area for a plant which you should buy. A 200 surface area in a Sansevieria type of a plant will come in somewhere around approximately 50 to 60 leaves, which is, if you have a 20 leaves plant, you should have 3 plant of 2 feet each, 2.5 feet each. If you are looking at Erica palm, ideally 5 to 6 feet plant of my height, you should have 160 to 70 stem, 1 plant, or 2 plants of cumulatively 70 stems, so that they are able to absorb these gases. And same is with a money plant for that matter. You should look at ideally a square feet will be made out of, let's say, in a Scindapsus money plant will be somewhere around 10 leaves, and then 200, so you should have 200 plus leaves in it, which means it should be a bushy plant when you're keeping it. Obviously it's always good to have something than not having anything, but be sure that if you really want to make an impact, or you want to really make sure that you are not absorbing any of the VOCs or these gases, or you want to breathe in fresh air in terms of higher oxygen. For example, with palms, they give you 27 liters of oxygen every day, and that's what the amount of oxygen you need a day. So if you have a Erica palm, it actually suffices your thing. But how bushy and how healthy it should be is something you should look at when you're buying them. So that's from my side on the air purifying plants. Be careful when you're going and buying them. It's definitely impacts, and you must have them. But as a consumer, as a person, you should take as a informed decision when you're buying them. Don't buy plants which are not bushy, because they are actually not doing anything for your home. You need to have bushier and healthier plants, so that your square feet surface area of the leaves is higher, and they absorb higher VOCs, which is what NASA recommends. And I think still a lot of people will have doubts on more details about the air purifying plants. In my next episode, I'll be talking about the 5 air purifying plants you should have at home, and what should be the specs from each room perspective. So if you have a drawing room like this, how big an Erica palm can be here, to a bedroom which is a 200 square feet home and 2 people sleep there, how many Sansevierias you can keep. All of this I'll be talking about in my next episode on air purifying plants. Keep watching our videos on My Plant My Baby. In case you have any feedback or want to talk to me directly, just put in the comments below, and I have direct access to this channel, and I will, with my team, definitely revert back to you guys. I look forward to interacting more with you and having a family of bigger plant lovers across India and the world, interacting and sharing ideas and making this world a better place to live. Thank you for watching. Bye bye. Do subscribe to our channel, My Plant My Baby, on YouTube.